Welcome back to the Crypt of Wax. We cover the latest metal releases, mostly black metal releases, Mike, actually, isn't it? It's turning into be that kind of thing.
Pretty much, isn't it? I mean, yeah. To be honest, though, for me, it just feel like personal taste. Like, I suppose when it comes to kind of underground metal and stuff, like I'm really favouring listening to black metal, and particularly the sort of style, particularly the sound we're going to be talking about today on this album.
Correct. So today we're talking the debut full length by Chilean one-man black metal project led by a guy called Nebel or Nebel. But yeah, Triumphal Vengeance, Spears of Conquest. He's put out a few EPs and stuff, but like this is the debut full length. It's sort of a quick overview. It's raw black metal, but it sits in that triumphant, like, I don't want to say war because like it's not war metal, but it's got that kind of like war battle-esque feel.
It's like medieval, isn't it? It's that sort
Yeah,
of medieval battle. Yeah. It's and when you look at like the title, the band name, like the project name, Triumphal Vengeance, Spears of Conquest,
yeah,
the song titles and stuff, it all ties it in very nicely.
it does.
And I believe there's a battle sample in there as well at one point.
There is, and I was very happy to hear it. So I guess if you're new here, what we do is we just decide on an album off air, and we don't talk about it. We just come on here and have a chat about it. So it's kind of like more of a discussion about the record. But chances are you've probably heard this record if you are clicking on this video. So yeah, we'll kind of just go through it song by song and see what we thought of it. But I guess overall, Mike, how did you feel about this? I imagine this was a bit of you.
Oh yeah, I had a great time with this. I thought it was excellent. Really, really good, man. A lot. It's it was one of those albums. It just started and it finished, and it didn't drag at all. Like
No.
it finished, and I was like, oh, I could do that again easily, and I did,
Yeah. Yeah.
and not just for the show.
Yeah, no, I'm in the same. I'm in the same boat. It starts off. You've got this kind of like organ led um, atmosphere builder that like doesn't outstay its welcome, but you're like, okay, this is setting the tone quite nicely.
Yeah, setting it up. Yeah,
And then you've got that kind of like when it all does come in, it's not like ferocious full pelt blast. It's quite mid tempo, isn't it? But the
yeah.
riff's quite high energy, which is what I quite liked about it. And they did have that kind of like I'm going to use the word triumphant quite a lot in this episode, but it was
Why
triumphant.
is that? It's actually the name.
Yeah, and that he knew what he was doing there, didn't he, Mike? But without being that over uplifting, triumphant, there was still like an element of like darkness and evilness to it, but it still had
Yeah,
that like power behind it of like a triumphant, like battle-esque piece of
yeah.
metal, which I really enjoyed. But there was still shades of melody to be found in here, wasn't there?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's kind of it. Throughout there is that melodic feel, but as you said, it's done with. I think a lot of it's down to the production as well. There's this kind of intensity and energy there.
Yeah,
Aggressive. It's aggressive, isn't it? It's like melodic, but there's more aggression than
yeah,
just straight up kind of melodic black metal.
yeah.
And he just nails the vibe. I mean, what he's trying to convey, this whole kind of medieval wartime battle thing, he's just got it down so well, I think.
I think the leads have a big part to play in that as well because he
Yeah.
will inject some leads in and around like usually towards the latter end of songs, but they're usually quite simple. Well, actually, the first song he does actually go into a solo that does add some technicality to it, but like a lot of the kind of lead lines were quite simple, and they gave it quite like an epic sensibility. Did you find?
hmm Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
And I really liked his I really like the spoken word sort of parts he added to it as a sort of a variation vocally. There's a great bit in the first song. It's kind of like a ring out riff that they do. About 3 minutes 15. It goes on for
yeah,
quite a big section of the song, and they really build on it. And he brings in this spoken word part. And he does it actually for quite a bit in the album.
yeah,
And it's great. I think it really mixes it up. But in that part in particular, he does it, and then it goes into a really cool solo, which I think might be the bit you're talking about.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
We get
and then it goes back
the
into the
blast.
blast from there as well, and
Yeah,
it's yeah, it's excellent, man. This is for me. This is like really, really up my street, black metal wise.
Yeah, he really does a good job at like mixing the paces, right? Because like you were saying, that slow ring out section was quite slow overall, really, when you take it in
Yeah.
isolation. But then does
But there's an energy. There's an energy to it still, and
yeah,
it keeps that going, you know?
yeah, he does. Moving into track two, "Cold Blazing Steel," great song title.
Yeah.
I love the opening riff to it. It had like a real grandiose feel towards it. I think this whole song had like that whole going into battle esque sensibility to it, because you had these kind of
Mhm.
leads that also had like a backing vocal that sounded like chanting. It was kind of a bit like Viking chanting in a way. It had that kind of.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to do it, but listen to track two and you'll hear it.
Go
But
on.
come on.
Go
um,
on.
but what I liked about this song is it also intertwines that more like classic icy old school black metal
Yeah.
atmosphere, like with the guitar work. It wasn't just this battle triumphantness. He did kind of then go back to this old school icy black metal, like this more raw black metal, which I think was a really nice like balance between the two.
Yeah, there's a really good bit in this as well where the beat it slows down. It's still quite quick, but it's around the 2 minute mark, and it's still got this driving feel, but it slows down. And I think he does a really good job at mixing up those paces. He brings in, and I'm sure we'll touch on it when we get to it, quite a lot of those like quite primitive like kick snare
Yeah,
kind of beats in places, and it just works so well. He's very good at like knowing when to kind of blast at full pelt, but then when to
strip it back.
rein it back, mix up the drum beats a bit more, so it has that impact when it does go really fast.
The kick drum was very high in the mix.
Yeah, liked it though.
Yeah, I liked it, especially on the double kick moments. It really gave like a like an additional boost of power,
Yeah, yeah.
which I thought was really cool.
There's definitely like the production. I think is definitely a big factor in why this record's really successful in kind of portraying that sort of intensity.
Yeah, because
I think yeah,
when
it's
it
a big part
starts,
of
I
it.
mean, going back to the start again, I guess a bit all over the place here, but you've got that organ bit. But then when it does come in, just for a split second, it does sound quite thin because the organ sounded
Mhm.
quite full, and there was
Yeah.
a bit of a counterbalance there. It took a second to adjust, but yeah, I do agree. Overall, I think the production really worked in its favor. Track three, Burning Bright, started with this really reverberated lead line that sounded like it was being played like in a castle type thing. It really gave it really painted a picture for me of like just this him sort of sat in like a really massive castle just fucking wailing out on this guitar lead,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
before again coming in back in with this kind of like mid-tempo opener that sort of he allows sections to breathe. Like that opener went on for like a minute of just like a mid-tempo riff before he brought in any vocals. He wasn't like dying to get vocals in immediately, which I quite enjoyed.
John, was there also, and I don't know if it was just me, was there also a slight fade in on that section that came in?
Oh, I can't remember.
It sounded to me, it sounded like it was slightly fade. Not, it wasn't. It might not have been there at all, and it might have just been my ears. But it sounded like it was a slight fade in as it's coming in, which was cool.
Fro-
But it wasn't really obvious, if you know what I mean.
from the reverb into the start.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
The actual like when the mid tempo pace came in, it sounded like it was sort of slowly increasing in volume.
Yeah, I can imagine
But I
that.
don't know. It could have just been
But
me.
there was also,
But
I think
it sounded cool
there
though.
was also a part in this song actually. I think it was this song where it sounded like he was speeding up a section.
Right.
But then when you hear it, the whole song, it's like, actually, did he just speed up there, or is it just quite a clever like way of? I can't tell if it was just a
Making
transition
it
to
sound
get.
like that.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
There was a lot of little things like that where you're just like, that was pretty clever if that was if that's what I'm hearing. So I guess that would make sense for that kind of fade in section to happen. Again, there was a lead line on track three around 3 minutes 30 that was like really simple, but again, just really like epic in scale. Just gave it like a triumphant energy to it. And then the song ended with that kind of lead line ringing out, and then you had this kind of background chanted, more of that kind of
Yeah, that was
chanted
cool.
vocal going on, which I really
Yeah.
enjoyed. It goes into track four, Procession Chant. I like that he brought in a kind of dose of heavy metal. Like this one had like a dual lead to start with, and it was very like heavy metal
Yeah.
influenced. And then you like
It felt quite loose, did you notice?
it
It
did,
felt quite
yeah.
it didn't feel like it was meant to be played really tight. It had that looseness to it, which I really
I
liked.
think that's because it wasn't the two guitars weren't doing note for note harmonies. I think
No.
one was like elongating over a couple notes while they were playing kind of different melodies, which
It was cool, man. They kind of sort of weaved in and out of each other, but it felt a little bit, and I know it probably wasn't, but it had a bit more of a randomness feel to it. You couldn't quite
yeah,
lock in with the guitars in that sense. That's what kind of gave it that looseness. But
yeah.
I really liked it. It felt a bit more organic than when you hear that often in metal.
Yeah, agreed, agreed. And then like you spoke about that kind of spoken word, he brought that in as well for this song, which
Yeah,
I could have heard more of that. I thought that that kind of that vocal sat really well with this style of metal. I really enjoyed it.
yeah.
Uh,
I think he injected it into a good half of the songs, though. I'd say the 3 or 4 songs he probably did it on.
yeah, and he actually put them in really good places, which we'll talk about because
Yeah,
I want to talk actually about track 5 with Lifted Swords. This was my standout, I think, Mike. I don't know about you, but I think the riff
I had 2 actually, and this was one of them.
was it. I think the riffs
Yeah.
on this were catchier almost, and I think the vocals were a bit more like anthemic in a weird way.
Mhm.
It feels like if he was going to have a single, this would be a single to kind of promote the sound that he's kind of going for. I feel like this is where all of his ideas have come together in a really successful way. You've got that kind of tremolo dual lead that happens around 3 minutes mark, and it was like a nod to heavy metal, but he was doing it with like black metal like phrasing and like note selection, so it kind of gave
Yeah.
it that kind of black metal edge. But then he had like that spoken word vocal that we were talking about that was like perfectly placed, that acted as a build up, and then it went into this like solo towards the end that I thought was amazing. And then, like we spoke about at the start, ended with that kind of battle soundscape going on.
Yeah, like a sword fight thing at the end. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, it was great. Yeah, this. I'd say this was my highlight, and also track 3, "Burning Bright" as well. But in general, I thought the album was great from start to finish. Like there's no skippers in there for me at all.
no, the I think if I'm going to criticize it and be ultra harsh, I think there needed to be maybe some sort of thing that you could pluck out from maybe each song to get maybe separate. I feel like each song could potentially have fallen into the next song. It could have maybe been like, because they were all quite
Yeah,
similar key, they were all quite similar in tone. There was only like a certain few songs that had like real standout appeal. Like for me, with Lifted Swords was one of them. But like that's being ultra critical because this is actually a really good album just to put on and let it play through rather than like pick out
yeah, yeah,
songs.
yeah,
So I think that's really cool.
yeah.
And yeah, and then ends with track 6, Our Enemies at the Stakes. I think this was possibly one of the more like aggressive and like ferocious songs on the record. It starts with like an onslaught of blasts, and you've got this kind of old
I
school.
love the way it starts, John. Just to say,
Did you?
it's a great. Well, it just comes in no
No
nonsense. It's
nonsense.
straight on the blast. Great riff. Yeah, it sounds really
That
good.
riff was like proper like old school, like early second wave, like buzzsaw kind of type
Yeah,
riff that was really
yeah,
cool.
it's cool.
And there wasn't like this song, yeah, it was just like no nonsense really, and then it just had a really nice clean outro that felt like a nice
Mm,
fitting to end the album on.
yeah, it wasn't. It wasn't like a typical ender. Sometimes bands or solo projects they kind of have a song that's made to be the ender, and it's got that kind of ending to that feels like it's. I felt like this. It could have been anywhere in the album, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
And that's not
it's not.
a criticism. I kind of like that he just decided. I'm just going to do 6 really good songs. I'm not going to kind of put too much thought into how the album should end because
Well,
a
he's
couple of the
sitting there
songs
thinking, I really thought about how this was going to end.
I really did. Well, no, but I think there was another song. I can't remember which one it was. I think it was even track 2 that ends on a clean as
Yeah.
well. So in a way, you could have you could have switched them in a
Well, when
sense
I first listened through this, I thought track 5, because I wasn't paying attention to the track listing, I was just listening on headphones. I thought track 5 was going to be the ender with that battle kind of.
because of the
Yeah, I
sample.
thought,
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
yeah, it's true. There could have been a few different enders, but I think ending it, it's almost like a journey of battle in a way. Like if you look through the song titles and
You
stuff,
could
but then
yeah, you're
like track
correct.
5
Yeah.
was the battle, and then track 6 is like it's called Our Enemies at the Stake. So it's
The
almost like
the
they've
victory
yeah,
kind of
the
thing.
victory and they've taken.
Yeah, it does make sense. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Very good.
Have you got any more to say on this, Mike?
No, I really liked it. It was, this will definitely be an album I'll listen to a lot this year. Really up my street at the moment as well, this kind of style.
Yeah, definitely go check this one out. It's not even long, is it? It's like what 30 something minutes.
No, perfect,
Yeah.
actually. And what John, what label has come out? Was it Obscurant?
Yes.
Was it Obscurant Visions?
Obscurant Visions, which we actually covered.
They
Gosh,
did Vlad Spirit as
Glad
well.
Spirit. Yeah, they've actually put out
Oh
some.
man, that what two great albums they've released already this year.
Well, they've put out a few like some good stuff this year. That Catabasis from
Oh yeah,
Ultima was also something that we'll probably talk about on our next episode, which will be like a recap episode. So make sure you stick around for that one. We put out videos every Wednesday and Friday covering the latest metal releases. But yeah, give a like. Or let us know in the comments if you check this one out as well, what you thought of it. But give a like and a subscribe. It helps us out a lot, and we will catch you in the next one.